YB stays on your neck.
You're going to Saudi Arabia next week.
I am. I'm going on Tuesday. So Saudi Arabia press conference is Wednesday. New York press conference is Thursday. London press conference is Friday. It's brutal.
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So we just heard there from a Team AJ representative, aka Edward Hearn. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is because the whole announcement of a world tour kind of throws me back to Mayweather versus McTapper. And actually, I want to kind of urge AJ to make this, because at the end of the day, luckily for him, this is worked out to be a $91 million turkey for him. Now, with that in mind, you'll know that I've been kind of imploring AJ to kind of start calling a spade, not really, and I've actually agreed that he seems to have become a bit more ruthless since he's lost. I think he's realised, like most people do, there's a lot of fake people around. I think, and that's what, from what I've heard anyway, I've never been at that level, but from what I've heard, a lot of people, when they're on the down in that sense, or when they take a loss, or when they're not as popular as they once was, or when they're not as, like, revered as they once was, they notice a lot of things change, and that can bring people out to be more expressive. Now, with that in mind, McGregor versus Mayweather it started off alright, and it ended up just being proper tacky, but maybe that sold 4 million pay-per-views, so maybe that's what people want. I'm not asking for that. That to me too tacky. I'd love for, bearing in mind the things that Andres de la Ponce Ruiz has said. Let's get it straight. He's talking about, I'm gonna bury AJ in the dunes, all this business. So if I was AJ, this should be for me. Let's get it straight. What's his name? Jarrell Pharmacy Miller. He was. What did he say? Yeah, I guess he talked about AJ's mum, but still, the fact of the matter is, this for me is another one of them ones. This for me is AJ versus Jarrell Pig Baby Miller. This should be SmokeCentral.com. I don't want to see. There should be no more handshaking and whatnot. AJ hasn't got the belts to give to Ruiz now, but the fact of the matter is, this needs to be a devastating performance. And Mike Tyson talks about this a lot. He talks about, well, not just Mike Tyson, but a lot of boxers talk about the mentality. I feel AJ's mentality has waned over the years. When you get to the top level, or every fight you win, the more money comes in. And bearing in mind, so AJ's never really fought. I remember that you'll always know the YB's little dons will know that I always cite the Dillian White versus AJ fight as one performance I really enjoyed. That was a menacing performance. He was enjoying his work. As I said, Mike Tyson talks about there's nothing more dangerous than a happy fighter who's enjoying his work. AJ was enjoying his work in there. I don't feel like, compared to I know there are, in my opinion, mitigating circumstances in the AJ versus Ruiz fight, but even so, there was not a bit menacing about it. He was in there, he looked like a deer in headlights, if the truth be known. It just don't feel right. And even then, all his other fights, even the Povetkin fight, weren't menacing. The Klitschko fight, once he got put down, became menacing. But that's the issue here. What Mike Tyson did well, he was able to, I don't know whether because he had a proper grimy upbringing, he was able to go into every fight, or in the prime of his career, he was able to go into every fight with a menacing and dastardly attitude, where he'd be aggressive and yeah, just devastating from the start. And I feel that's something that AJ needs to adopt, especially when this guy Ruiz gave him an embarrassing performance. If you can't manifest like devilishness off this one, I'm not sure when you are ever going to be able to manifest it and really give it to him. Bottom line, this dude has to give it to Andy Ruiz. I want to see tongue sticking out. And even if, and I've said it before, I'm not even that much invested. If he takes a loss, he takes a loss. But I just want to see a man in there enjoying his work and letting it all hang out. In that Dillian White fight, he got caught a few times. But that's the part of boxing. The funny thing is, in the Ruiz performance, he got caught anyway. The difference is, he got caught, and he wasn't even giving it back. He wasn't enjoying it. So it don't make no sense to me. Like being defensive, or being not negative, but being I guess you could call it too relaxed. It doesn't help anyway. You're better off going in there and focusing on what you want to do. I feel in the Ruiz fight, he was too much focused on what Ruiz was doing. Oh, Ruiz is going to be Ruiz's combination. I don't know what he was thinking, but all I know is he wasn't worrying about his own work. In that Dillian White fight, he was throwing shots. He wasn't bothered about what's coming back. Now, of course, you got to be defensively responsible. But then again, people can call me a fangirl, but I actually rate AJ's chin as one of the better chins in the division. Take the Dillian White fight as an example. In fact, take the Klitschko fight as a better example. He took shots all night. So with that in mind, I don't believe he needs to be like massively responsible. I don't think he needs to go in there with his complete earmuffs on, because once again, when you go in there with a too defensive mindset, like the first Ruiz fight, it was way too defensive. He wasn't, not one point in that fight do I feel AJ really went in there and tried to inflict his will. It was almost like he was trying to sneak a shot here and there, and then when he put Ruiz down, like somewhat accidentally, he then jumped all over it and went the other way. And there was no like middle ground. It was like completely irresponsible offense, or just trying to sneak an odd shot here or there. But anyway, the tactics of the fight I've made quite clear, and I'll do more videos on that at the time. My point is, I just feel I want him to use this opportunity to be in front, because as a fighter, you're not in front of your opponent many times. I want him to use these three dates to build some resentment, to use whatever's there, to get really look into Ruiz's soul and use that, because you've got to remember, we've got what, 3 months, or what we got, September, October, November, yeah, 3 and a bit months. Use that for your training camp, because one of the things that I think I'm not in AJ's camp, but one of the things I feel AJ's been lacking is everyone has 2 or 3 mindsets. You've got the average mindset, you've got your heated up mindset, and then you've got he needs to be in these training sessions. He needs to be just truly devilish in what he does in the gym, because that's another thing you'll notice, and I think this helps with cardio a lot, or I think it does anyway. But what I'm trying to say is, when you exercise with devilish intentions, it gets your heart rate up a lot more, which therefore conditions your body a lot better. And people may think what I'm saying is wishy-washy, but my point is, he needs to be going in there. And whatever work he does on the pads or on the bag or wherever, every shot needs to be just devastating speed, devastating power. There needs to be none of this mediocre stuff. That's what I see too much. Like a great example, Anthony Yard. You see Anthony Yard on the pads doing 300 punch combos. What good's that? When in a fight are you going to throw 300 punch combos? I want to see repetitions of 3 or 4 or 5 punch combinations. 5 punch back to back. 5, 3, 4, 5, 3. Does that make sense? Proper winging them off. That's how you develop fast hands. And funnily enough, if you watch Andy Ruiz's pad session, Andy Ruiz on the pads, you'll see him winging off. You don't see him doing all that tippy-tappy rubbish. And people say, oh, well, Floyd Mayweather did it. Floyd Mayweather, unfortunately, didn't have no power. So that there's never a good... Don't follow something that people do that have no power. People say, oh, well, it helped Floyd. Yeah, it did help Floyd. It helped Floyd have I was about to say a good gas tank, but I'm not even sure. I don't even think it did help him have a good gas tank, because Anthony Yard tried that, and he had no gas tank. So yeah, it'd be better off going in there. In a fight, Anthony Yard's throwing 1 or 2 punches. So you're better off replicating what you actually want to do, aka 3 or 4s. In my opinion, Yard weren't throwing enough punches. But anyway, as I say, this opportunity needs to be taken to, I don't know what you need to find. Maybe people say, oh, well, he already has it. No. This needs to be the Dillian White performance. You've got to bear in mind, that was 4 years ago now. And it's not as if AJ's been doing cocaine or AJ's been drinking. He's been training throughout that time. If the Dillian White performance, I think, was one of his better performances, and the Klitschko performance, we're 2 years after that as well. This needs to be moved on from then. Never mind me talking about, oh, it needs to be like this. It needs to be levels above that. It needs to be more devastating. Needs to be more combinations, and all of a sudden, and this I'm going to do a video about this, but we know Tony Sims has been removed, or we know Tony Sims has come out recently and talked about AJ's the rematch with Ruiz and whatnot. And I'm annoyed that no reporters have actually asked Tony Sims, where are you? Because AJ talks a lot about loyalty. This is something that Bruce Vane said, but it's a true fact that AJ talks a lot about loyalty, but where's Tony Sims gone? And that's something that I hadn't actually thought about, but it's true. Where is he at? And the reason I use Tony Sims is because I know AJ, going into fights, he'd train at Sheffield, but in the meantime, he'd train at the Essex-based Matchroom gym under Tony Sims. And all I know is, in the Dillian White fight, and even the Klitschko fight, AJ was throwing combinations. You'd see big hooks, big uppercuts. Now all of a sudden, he throws them, but there's no real. He's not looking to set them up. He's not looking to set them up. He's looking to, or take the Ruiz fight. He was, I don't know what he was doing in that. There was no real jab, and it was all ones and twos. And I feel that's something that McCracken's brought on, and from the training I observed from McCracken, it is all ones and twos. You'll see him on the pads. It'll be a 1. It'll be a 1-2. It's just not dynamic enough for this level of boxing. Now look at Wilder. Wilder gets away with it, and even then, actually, to be fair, Wilder does wing the 1-2 though. Wilder will be winging 1-2s throughout the fight. AJ ain't even winging 1-2s the whole night. I don't know what's going on. I'll save that training stuff for another video. But mentality, don't just take these as opportunities to sit there and I don't want to see. I'm not really bothered what I see, but I'd like to. Maybe it doesn't even need to be external, i.e. maybe we don't even need to see AJ as smoky as he was for Jarrell Miller, but I don't know actually. I guess it's hard for AJ to be as aggressive, verbally speaking, unless Ruiz gives it to him first. But then again, Ruiz has said several things about he's going to bury him in the desert, so I'd be saying that back to Ruiz, because... And actually, he said many things. He talked about robotic. He's talked about how AJ can't box. So if I'd be using these opportunities to clarify some of them things and start. One thing I used to like about McGregor's trash talk, he would talk about what he's going to do to his opponents in the ring. That's the stuff I enjoyed. All this other stuff about religion and wives, I'm not really interested in that. I'd love to hear McTapper talk about how he's gonna hit someone and I can't even remember what he used to say actually, but this is how long ago it was. But bottom line is he'd talk about how the fight's gonna go. Like the perfect example is the Aldo fight. He'd talk about how Aldo's right hand side's gonna tighten up. He's gonna and he's gonna whip the left hook. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is even AJ said that in the Jarrell Miller fight. He said he's gonna bust him up. That's what I want to start hearing. I want to hear AJ cite the whole Ruiz said I'm a robot. Let's see how that works out for him. I want him to talk. I want him to talk it into existence. Not for a cliche. Oh, talk it into existence. I want AJ's mentality to go in there, win or lose. All I want to see is a ruthless AJ. I'd rather see, honestly speaking, if AJ was to go in there and throw jabs and try and Tyson Fury on the back foot, even if he won that fight, which I don't think he would, I think he'll get beat even worse if he tries that again. But even so, if I could take AJ going in there and trying to inflict his will on Ruiz, or for him to go a 12-round mixed decision, I'd take the loss that was a good loss. A loss that was the old AJ, or the good AJ. I'd take that. Because all this, and one of the things I'm going to do a video on in the future, but one of the things I think's happened, and it's a pretty classic phenomenon, I think it's almost like the champion effect. Now, the champion effect is something I've coined myself, but essentially what it means is, I've noticed a lot of champions, on the way up, they're explosive. And then when they get the belt, they turn into this defense. Their whole mindset changes. The whole mindset comes about, oh, I need to defend my belt, rather than going on the aggressive. A great example, John Jones. John Jones on the way up was knocking people out with crazy stuff, and now all of a sudden, he's a 5-round safety first kind of man. Tyron Woodley as well. On the way up, he was explosive. Then he gets champion, and all of a sudden, it's all defense. And I think it's, like I say, it's a champion. GSP as well. He was one of the most boring champions, but on the way up, he was explosive. It's like on the way up, they haven't got nothing to lose, so they're letting it all fly. And then when they've got something to lose, their whole mindset changes. And I think that's something that, whether with a psychologist, even though I think they're rubbish, but AJ needs to be one of the champions that figures that out. Because if you want to become $1 billion man, I don't think you're going to do it being like Tyson Fury. The reason Mike Tyson got halfway there was because of the way he fought. And he was actually, well, he's a different case, but what I'm trying to say is, you're going to have to get over this, you're going to have to go back to the different mentality, the up and up mentality. You're going to have to go on every fight, you've got nothing to lose, because the minute you start thinking about not losing, you ain't the same man. And I think that's one reason which explains how the Ruiz performance went. Anyway, I've chatted along on this video, but that's what I think this opportunity for these 3 dates need to be used for.